Hi, everyone. Before we get into this episode, could you please stop and subscribe to the Breakup Diet? Or if you don't want to do that, could you please give us a like or a comment, engage with it? It really means the world, and I would be forever grateful. And now, without further ado, welcome to the Breakup Diet.
Buckle up, bitches. This is gonna get bumpy. This is the Breakup Diet.
Today, I'm joined by Kelly Hunt, and I really wanted to reach out to you because you also have a podcast on breakups.
I do. I have the breakup debrief, so we're both TBD.
Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
I'm coming up to the year now. This was my baby last summer. I know it's coming up. I just don't know exactly when it is. I think it's in June is like the 1 year birthday, so very excited for that.
Congratulations.
Breakups are so complex and it's a massive emotional experience and it's something that's like not spoken about enough. So it's really hard to kind of get some of the things that you're talking about into like a 60 or 90-second reel for TikTok and Instagram. So I really wanted to kind of have that space for people to kind of give it the time that it deserves and be able to provide real value outside of my one-to-one coaching.
How did you start being a coach? Tell us more about you. I want to hear it all.
So I am a breakup empowerment coach, firstly, and I suppose I kind of got into that through my own very difficult breakup experiences. So I was in a relationship for 10 years. I was also married for 6 months. And so we got married back in 2020 during the pandemic. And this was somebody that I'd been with, as I said, for 10 years. Got together when I was like 16, going 17. I thought he was going to be my forever. And like most relationships who kind of got together as at a young age and grew up together, we had our issues. But I was of the opinion that all relationships had their issues and had their things that they had to bear, which is true to a degree, but not to the degree that I thought it was at the time. And I was like, okay, so these issues, that they're just our issues and we're working through them and we've got this. And unfortunately, the issues that we had during our relationship got magnified when we were married. My theory is that because I never left him before, he was like, okay, well, we're married now. She's definitely not going to leave.
Okay.
And I've always wanted like the marriage, the house, and the kids. I've always been really, really family orientated. So like I did my best to make it work. And after the wedding, like we were saving for a house, and the plan was we'd get our house and then start having babies. I always had this thing in my head that I'd start having kids when I was 25. I'm now 32 and I still have no kids. I remember there was a particular week that was really hard and I was like quite literally sat in his lap sobbing, crying, being like, I just feel like you don't want to be with me, like you never want to spend any time with me. We keep having to have these same conversations again and again. Just don't understand like why you wanted to marry me. Like I don't know what we're doing here. And he gave me like all the reassurances and that like of course he loves me and wants to be with me. And you kind of enter back into that like little bubble of like post argument where things are really, really good for a little while.
Yeah.
And in that quote unquote really good phase, I got the stereotypical DM on Instagram from a girl being like, "Hi, just thought you
Oh
should
no.
know." Da,
Hey,
da, 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 da.
girly,
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, the hey girly,
Oh
exactly. The
no.
PTSD that I have about the hey girly. And yeah, so obviously awful. But at the same time, it was the wake up call that I needed because of the issues that we had. Like they were kind of surrounding the time that he was spending with me, his friends, drugs, his commitment to the relationship, things like that. We hadn't dealt with infidelity since like we were teenagers. Like when we were in our first few years together, like there were times that I caught him out messaging other girls or whatever. He says that's as far as it ever went. I never believed it, but I kind of always chalked that up to like we were very young then,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say
yeah,
that. I was gonna say
yeah,
like it must be quite hard, especially when I mean amazing if it does work out, but when you grow like you start so young in a relationship and then you're like all those first years, especially as like a boy, I feel like they're
yeah.
like
Prefrontal lobe's not developed.
yeah, it must be. And also even as a girl, you change so much, I
Mhm.
think, in
Yeah,
those like from like 16 all the way into like 30 really or like 25
100%.
especially so much.
Yeah, that's it. And like it's probably the biggest growth you ever have. Like, and your 20s as well are like forgetting things wrong. Like, you don't really, I think, fully come into yourself until like your late 20s into your 30s. So I always chalk that up to that. Like, and I had long forgotten it. And I thought that was a thing of our past. Like, I had no idea that he was capable of that at this stage.
When she said, hey, girly, was she just asking if you guys were together? Or was it more like, hey, girly, I know that you're his wife?
It was actually a funny thing because so she messaged me and she was like, "Hey, my sister sent me these screenshots this morning and I just thought that you should know about it because I know that I would want to know." And the screenshots were of him messaging her sister, just like commenting on like her physical appearance stuff. Like she was a very good looking girl and she had like some really like sexy pictures on her Instagram and stuff. Like she likes to post pictures of her in lingerie or whatever. And he was responding to those, being like, "You look insane," da, 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 like giving her compliments. She ignored the first message and he then texted her again, cringe. And when he sent the second message a few days later, she responded, being like, "I know your wife." Because what he didn't know was she and I were actually childhood friends, and our parents
Oh,
were very, very close when we were kids. Now, we had long since drifted apart, obviously, because in the 10 years of our relationship, he didn't realize that we had a connection, but we did. So I confronted him or whatever, like when he came home, he had obviously like deleted the messages, but I'd gotten a tip that like Android phones have like a secret folder in them, like a secret thing, like you put in a different pin code to get in. And I asked
wait,
him
so
to
like a
open it for me.
deleted folder? Like
Yeah,
a,
type the kind of similar vibes, yeah, but like it looks like a folder, and then but when you try to open it, it asks you for a pin, and it's a different pin to like your phone pin, and
oh
that's where
my
you can put it.
God.
Yeah, I know. I've unlocked the anxiety in all the girls, I know, but I also had the anxiety. So it's a
How did you
top
find
tip.
out?
My brother, uh, we were living together at the time. It was like two couples, and I after I got this message, it was just me and him at home because he was working from home, and I went upstairs and I was like, "Oh my God," like freaking out, like da 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 da. And he was like, "When you confront him, check this area on his phone because he has an Android and da da da." And I was like, "Oh my God, I never knew that."
Wait, so
So
is it a, I'm sorry, I need to know.
no, you're fine. You're right.
Is it like a specific area in the phone that has it? And if he has this folder, it's
So
like
it
they all
was
do.
on, you know, the way like when you open up your phone, like it comes up like all your icons and your apps, and sometimes you can sw scroll through like the different screens.
Yeah.
So it was like if you opened his phone and I swiped like left to this particular screen, it was there. Now, this was back in 2021. Like I can't remember like what the app looked
Yeah.
like, but it was like a secure app for particularly for Androids. And I tried to get into it and it asked me for a pin. And I was like, "What's the pin?" And he goes, "Same as my phone," which I think was something like our anniversary or something. And I put that in. Didn't work. Shock horror. And I asked him again. He was like, "No, that's definitely the pin. Like it's," and I'm like, "The man thinks I'm stupid." And but it came up, I think so it was asking for like face recognition. So I just like grabbed the phone and shoved it in his face to try to unlock it. And with that, he whipped the phone out of my hand and stormed out of the house. So to this day, I don't know what was in that folder. But the fact
Not
that there
good.
was, yeah, not good. The fact that there was something in the folder was enough for me. Like my brother wanted to go like hack his phone and everything to figure out what was in there. And I was like, "No, I don't care. The fact that there is something that he's hiding from me is enough for me. I don't need to know how far this went."
Yeah, even like snatching it out and having to leave with it, then it's like you're
Hmm.
literally, you know what I mean? It makes it so
Yes, you're
bad.
signing your divorce papers right there.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry
Um,
that that happened.
oh, thank you, but genuinely the best thing that's ever happened to me because my life was so different then. And you know this yourself from like talking to different girls going through breakups, like they end up being the making of you. But yeah, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I left him. That was our 6 month marriage ended. We are now divorced. I had to wait a few years because in Ireland you have to wait 2, 3 years to get divorced. So at this stage, I was kind of, I'd done a lot of healing and a lot of self-development, and this was in COVID, so like I couldn't go out or anything. So like I had a lot of time to just focus on me.
What did that look like
So,
for you?
so I really wanted to get into like understanding relationships and breakups and like how these things worked and like why our relationship didn't work out and like relationship psychology, why people do what they do, things like that, and like how to actually heal because I recognized that like this was somebody that I was with for like a significant portion of my life who supported me through like my mum passing away and things like that. And I was like, I don't know how like I move on from this. So I started to learn about attachment styles and things like that. And I think that was the first rabbit hole that I really went down. Things started to make so much sense for me. I realized that I was very anxiously attached. I realized that he was avoidant, very stereotypical, I know. But it's like, aren't we all?
Yeah, I was thinking that was probably my ex of me too.
Yeah. I always find like if, in that book, The Attached, as part of one of the studies in it, he says that around 50% of the population is secure. And I always take issue with that statistic. I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no way 50%.
50%, half, no way.
50%. No way. Now, I've since listened to him in podcast episodes, and he does agree that that statistic is probably very different now, and there's a lot more people who are like anxious or unavoidant.
Can you
But
give me a little rundown of like what each one is?
so the three main ones are anxious, avoidant, and secure. They're obviously the terms that we're all familiar with. But then those three categories, well, anxious and avoidant, can kind of be broken down into like dismissive avoidant or like anxious avoidant, things like that. But to keep things simple, we'll kind of just stick with the three mains. So secure is kind of like what it says on the tin in terms of you feel more confident in relationships, having like looking for that like healthy connection, like none of that like push and pull, playing games. If someone doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, you're able to recognize that as you're both like incompatible rather than thinking, okay, well, I'm not good enough, then there's something wrong here. Attachment style traces back to when you were a baby and starts off with like your relationships with your primary caregivers. My background is actually in early childhood development, and I worked in that sector for 12 years. That was when I first learned about attachment theory, and even then no one told me that it impacts your life as an adult, because then maybe like that could have helped me out a little bit when it came to my marriage. So typically your needs were maybe inconsistently met or not met as a child, which can lead to you having an anxious attachment. Now, that's not to say that your parents were bad parents. It's everybody's first time living, like, and sometimes as parents, like, you don't always get it right, or sometimes like advice is conflicting. Like when we were kids or babies, like the going thing was to leave you and cry, like when you're going to
Yeah,
bed, and like don't pick them up.
self-soothing or
Yeah,
something,
let
right?
themselves soothe. Yeah, exactly. But like now it's not that simple, and things like that can't like if the baby is feeling like, okay, when I need somebody, there's nobody there for me, that can then all feed into their attachment styles. It can also be quite simple, but then that carries forward into your adult relationships. And it's also present in family relationships and friendships as well, but it's just more noticeable in our romantic relationships because obviously that's a very different type of connection. It usually shows up in being like the overgiver, the overcompensator, straight up anxiety, or like say if they're not texting you back and like a time that you think is supposed to be, or if they're going out on a night out and you're panicking that they're going to find someone better than you, things like that. Having a lot of anxiety in your relationship that's not always rational. And then the other is avoidant. Now, avoidants are often painted as like the villains in stories, but interestingly enough, people who have avoidant attachment styles, and women can get it as well, they want the same thing that the person who has an anxious attachment wants, and that's that secure, healthy love and relationship. But the problem is, there's kind of can be more of like a fear around it, and a fear of like losing that independence or being vulnerable or having to depend on somebody or being dependent on and getting too deep, and that then can cause them to pull away in relationships or to be a bit hot and cold or just be altogether cold or like not wanting commitment, things like that. So they're kind of the like a really brief explanation of the three attachment styles, and being able to learn about that and identify that like those traits with my relationship helped me to really understand why it didn't work and how important it was for me to heal those parts of myself before I move forward into other relationships, because I knew that I didn't want to repeat any of the patterns that I had over the last 10 years. Like I was very anxious, like I was checking the phone. Now I will say I did also have reasons to check the phone. I always found things, but
I mean, yeah, he had a
I did
secret folder.
a
Obviously, you had
secret
reasons.
folder. Yeah.
Like, no judgment here. Like, if you feel like you have to check and there's like, you actually are finding things and like all that, like,
Yeah.
damn right, you should be checking, like,
100%. Like if he's not going to tell me, how else am I supposed to find out?
Yeah, but he's
No,
definitely not
but
going to tell you. He's going to say it's absolutely nothing, and you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I don't believe that." You know what I
yeah, and
mean?
then
Like,
just like crawl back into my hole because I'm like, no, I want to be chill and I don't want to be too much and I don't want him to think I'm crazy or clingy. But I always find it so interesting, like, because so many people maybe have never checked their partner's phone before and like never felt the need to. If you imagine this for yourself, then like if you're in a relationship and one day, like out of the blue, you feel just this weird urge that there's something going wrong and you need to check his phone, and then you check it and you find something. A lot of people's intuition is that strong.
yeah, I had it. I didn't have it with checking his phone, but I had it with. I just checked his following for some reason, and I don't know why. I just was like, I was seeing him that weekend, and we were long distance. I was seeing him that weekend, and I was like, I don't know why. I'm just going to check his following. Checked his following, and then like obviously had recently followed two new girls, and then like I saw that he'd liked the photo of a seductive like photo, and I was
Ah.
like, isn't that weird? And obviously it was like spot on because he did like the
Yeah.
photo and stuff.
Women's intuition like is unbelievable sometimes, and then the more that you connect to it and the more that you trust it, the more kind of spot on or like the stronger that urge or that direction can be. But yeah, these were patterns that I obviously wanted to break going forward, so I was trying to learn what being secure meant for me and learning how to kind of like break those patterns. But I was also entering into the dating world for the first time as an adult.
Yeah, also, you guys were together 10 years, did you say? That's a long time. I find it even hard after being with somebody for 2 years. I'm like, oh God, like everyone's weird.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
can't. It's so like, don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like I really enjoyed it, and I kind of like because I was kind of taking the whole experience with a pinch of salt. Like, I knew like I wasn't looking to get into a relationship again anytime soon after just coming from a 10-year one. I just wanted to try dating and just to be a single girl in her 20s and just have that experience. But as a lot of us know, that usually ends up being when you find somebody, and this is then what brought me into my next relationship, spoiler alert, breakup. Um, yeah. So a guy a bit closer to home for you because we did long distance. He's from the UK. So we met. I was on holiday. I was doing like my little solo girl 2 week stint around Europe, having a great time. Met this guy from the UK. Thought it was going to be like a holiday fling, and then never see each other again. But became a long distance relationship that then turned into going to Australia together for a year and everything. And I thought he was going to be the one. I thought that I was just going to be that lucky girl who came from a really shit relationship, found this amazing guy, and we're going to live like happily ever after. Now, bearing in mind, at the time that this relationship was blooming and we're going to Australia and whatever, I was starting to build my coaching business. I was still building upon myself. Kind of next challenge then for me was to be able to maintain the work that I had done on myself in this new relationship and not lose that connection with myself, because I'd completely lost myself in that first relationship. Like when I came out of it, I had no idea who I was. Like my whole identity had been taken away is what it felt like. So the work that I'd done while single, it was really important for me to maintain that in this new relationship. When we got together, he was very much like, oh yeah, like I want the same things as you. Like I want the house and the kids and da, da, da. I just want to do this little bit of traveling first. Turns out was Peter Pan, basically just didn't want to come out of that traveling stage. I've been told since a lot of UK guys are like that. You could probably answer that better than me.
I feel like they don't want to commit for a long time.
This guy was
Lots of my
older
friends
than
say.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
guy was
don't think it
older than me as
matters.
well.
Don't think it
No,
matters.
I was like, hello. But yeah, like he sold me like the sun, moon, and stars when we got together. And I do genuinely think that he meant it. Like there is like intentional love bombing, and then in a way it's like kind of unintentional love bombing. Like I think he wanted it and he wanted to get me, and he meant what he said at the time because the whole idea was so far away in the future.
So
And
you do think that they mean it when they say that?
for this specific person, I don't think that he was doing it intentionally to manipulate me or with malice. I think he's got a lot of trauma himself. Like that man needs therapy, and I tried to tell him that he needs therapy, but he didn't listen to me. So I think he meant it at the time and he wanted to mean it, but then when it came to like actually having it, all his then traumas and triggers were
Yeah.
starting to come up, and he was like, I can't do this.
Do you think that will
100%.
just bang happen again, even if he meets somebody great as well, like you? Say in a year's time, they're having the same discussions. Do you think it boils up again until they fix it? Or do you think it's just like an age thing and then they're like, okay, no, I'm 40, I should?
I think it's definitely something that's going to reoccur until he does the work that he needs to do. And I also have like a little bit of evidence to this because when we split up, it was way worse than my breakup with my husband, and which probably makes no sense because we were together like a fifth of the time. So like I had been single for 8 months, and then he and I were together for 2 years. The second year of that, we were in Australia, so like living together and everything, working together most of the time. So when we broke up, like it really like shattered me to the point that even my friends and family, like as time was passing, they were like, she's not okay. Like she's not bouncing back the way she did last time. She's not looking at this the way she did last time. Like we need to like intervene here. So when we broke up, he told me that he was going to go traveling in South America later in the year. And I was like, right, off you go. See you later. Oh, in that time, I still happened to come across a picture of him with a new girl on his
Oh
stories.
no.
And yeah, that was tough because if you can imagine, like we broke up because he didn't want the commitments that came with a relationship, and he was going traveling again for 6 months later in the year. So even through all of my grief, it never occurred to me that he would move on so quickly, because I would have thought the last thing he would want is another relationship. On a random Friday, I get a voice note from him, and this is 6 months later. And it's this spiel about how ever since the day that we broke up, it was always his plan that he was going to reach out to me before he goes traveling because he'd like to come over to Dublin and see me and have a talk. And I'm listening to this voice note. I thought I was never going to see this man again. And one, to my knowledge, he was in a relationship. And two, it really irked me that he was like, I want to see if you're okay. So I ultimately decided that like if he wanted to pay Ryanair £70 to come over and see me for a few hours to see how I'm doing, that's on him. So I agreed that he could come over. Interestingly, I had actually started to like dip my toe into the dating world again at that stage, 6 months on.
Why is it
Yeah.
always the case? Like as soon as you start to like, or you even find, so I had that too. Like whenever you find somebody a little bit remotely interesting, and then bang, your ex pops up.
He came over, and only in the weeks leading up to him coming over had that relationship actually ended after he had told me he was coming over. So he was still with her, asked me about coming over, later broke up with her before he came over. And it was because I think we were kind of saying there about like his, like, do we think that's something he's going to repeat? All the issues that he had, not only did he still have them, they were multiplied. The way he was like talking about me and how he thinks that's probably going to be something that he's going to regret for the rest of his life, and that like he would have married me eventually and stuff, and how like all the girls that he had gone on dates with in the time that we'd been apart, like he was telling them, oh, my plan is that I'm going to be going over to see Kelly before I go traveling, like just so you know, and da 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 da. It's something that avoidants tend to do, is put an ex on a pedestal, where like going forward into dating, they're able to remove themselves from future connections because they'll compare to an ex that for whatever reason didn't work out at the time. Like, so he didn't want it when he had it, didn't want it enough. And now going into future dating has somebody on that pedestal. And like he was telling, like he was literally telling me how different things were happening with that girl, and he was comparing her to me and being like, Kelly wouldn't have done that, or Kelly would have done this, and yada yada. And I was like, you can't do that going forward. So I
Yeah.
recommended therapy again. Whether he took my advice or not, I don't know.
Yeah. And
But
also like not nice for you to hear either.
I think he was trying to like lean into how much he valued our connection as a way to make himself feel like he was a better person, if that makes sense. And the way he was like I would have married you. So like he doesn't want to be the bad guy in our scenario.
Did he come back and say he wanted to be with you then? Like,
It was a
or no,
it
it
was
was
a
just more
weird.
like the idea of it that he's selling.
I to this day don't know what his goal was. As I said, he reached out to me around the time that I'd start dipping my toe into dating again. I went on a date with the guy from Tinder, and he's now my boyfriend 2 years on, and we're buying a house together. So the timeline there was a bit of an interesting one. But the reason why I bring that up is because when my ex came, I always said his name there. When my ex came over, it was one of the first things I said to him was, I've actually been on 3 dates with this guy, and it's still like really, really early days, obviously, but I'm just letting you know that I am going on a fourth date with him, and I intend to continue seeing with him and seeing where it goes. Even because like I let him know that this new guy, my new boyfriend, knew that he was coming over and that we were going to have the conversation, and that I gave him the option that if that made him uncomfortable, I would tell him not to come to Dublin. That surprised him, and I think it upset him a little bit that I would have prioritized this new guy over him when he had blatantly prioritized me over the new girl that he was seeing.
From that, I want to ask you, do you think you can be friends with an ex?
In my opinion, unless you were like 16 and together for 2 weeks, I've never seen a friendship post relationship work out. Now, there's exceptions to every rule, but like a lot of people post breakup try to be friends because they're not ready to lose that person in their lives completely. When you're heartbroken, a friendship sounds better than nothing. But the problem comes when people start to move forward or start to move on, start dating people again. And sometimes then that can be the bit of shock of reality of this isn't going to work. I'm personally not friends with either of my exes, and I don't like that's never going to change. They were a chapter in my life that served its purpose at the time. Like I learned a lot. We had a lot of good memories, led me to where I am today. But I've no interest in maintaining a friendship with that person, and I also don't think I could because of our histories.
Yeah, and also with your new partner, it would be hard as well. I think I can
Yeah,
imagine that being a
exactly.
bit awkward too, because you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going for.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like it like if it was the other way around. Now,
I
if it was
wouldn't
like a
like it.
distant, yeah, I want to say
Like,
like if it was a distant friendship and it's like we're on good terms, we follow each other on social media, but like we never speak or we never like go for a coffee, I'd be like, right, whatever. But if they were like, oh yeah, like we regularly like meet up and we chat, I'd be like, go back and get your wife because
yeah,
this is not gonna work.
yeah, I get that. Do you think that you should delete them off social media straight away and all of that sort of stuff, or do you think that's not like a thing you have to do?
If it's a breakup that has ended on like decent-ish terms, like you don't hate this man and you're like, oh, it feels bad to remove him or whatever, I don't feel like I can do it. My advice is at the very least mute them because in the immediate aftermath of your breakup, when like no contact is like really really hard and you're adjusting to their absence in your life and it feels like they're dead, like the last thing you need is to see what they're posting on social media. It never makes you feel any better. I deleted both of mine. If it was a nasty breakup, I would have blocked. Social media is not that deep. We make social media a lot deeper than it needs to be. Like it's an app on like in the air, like atoms on your phone. Like it's doesn't need to be this big thing like, oh my God, I can't believe my ex deleted me. Like it's social media. If we're not speaking again, we don't need to see each other's lives unplay like play out and follow. Like when my ex came over as well, that was another thing question that he had. He was like, I was thinking maybe like we can be friends again on social media, and I was like, no,
It keeps you kind of trapped in the loop as well, doesn't it?
it does. Like you keep like you don't need their constant reminders. You have enough of them. You don't need to add to that. Post breakup, you tend to read so much into what they're posting or what they're not posting. And it's like, okay, he's posted a picture, he's out for a coffee with his friend. He must be talking about me. Oh my God, what are they saying about me? Are they saying that like we should get back together? What are his friends saying? What's their opinion of the breakup? Like it feeds into all the breakup brain spirals that we have.
Yeah, the
So
delulu.
it's unnecessary. The full delulu.
And my last question is for anybody going through a breakup right now, what's your very best piece of advice?
We're very like dismissive about breakups and that like, oh well, everybody goes through them and they're not that big of a deal. They are that big of a deal. Like I always compare breakups to death. Like the grief in that short term period is the exact same. Your brain is going through chemical changes, your body's going through hormone changes. Like you're having a full physical, emotional, spiritual, existential crisis when you're going through a breakup. And I feel like we don't give that the weight that it deserves. And we feel like we should be coping better or we should be doing better. We should be following the top breakup tips and advice better. The thing that you need to really remember on top of all the other advice is just to have that compassion for yourself and do your best and allow yourself to cry and feel the feels, and the other steps can follow, but on top of that start with your compassion.
What's meant for you will not pass you by.
100%. Your biggest transformations happen after a breakup. Like if someone tells me they're going through a breakup, like I want to offer condolences because I know it's hard, but I'm also like, congratulations, you have unlocked this whole new chapter, let's go.